Hey, this is Matthew Ricks, and today on the Music Business Newsletter, we got an email from an artist from New Zealand who wants to know if he is being scammed by his promo company. But before we dive into the email, if you have a question on the music industry that you'd like for me to answer, just go to MatthewRicks.com, click submit your question, give me as many details as possible, and we will answer it here on the channel. But now for the email. He says, "Hey, Matthew, I am writing from Wellington, New Zealand. Love New Zealand. Was there in 2014 to do an event. We booked at the wrong time, and I got on a plane from Los Angeles in shorts and a t-shirt. And when I arrived, it was the dead of winter. But I digress. Wonderful people. Can't wait to go back." He says, "I'm hoping you might be able to give me a bit of a perspective because I'm starting to feel like I've been taken for a bit of a ride. I love the way all non-Americans speak. He doesn't start off with, I've been scammed. I feel like I've been taken for a bit of a ride." Love him. He says, about 2 years ago, I was contacted by a music promotional company based in the United States. They reached out after one of my songs picked up a bit of traction locally and said that they specialize in helping independent artists break into the U.S. market. So locally in Wellington, I guess that's what you mean, not in the U.S. He says, at the time, it sounded pretty exciting. Being down here in New Zealand, the idea of getting exposure overseas felt like a massive opportunity. Yep, they knew what you wanted, and they knew that you'd find the money to pay them to do nothing. But let's not jump ahead. Let's not jump ahead. He says they pitched a package that included things like playlist pitching, blog placement. There we go again. Okay, here's the deal. I wish I could say that over the last 5 months or whatever, I think we've done like 60 newsletters. I think this has probably got to be close to like the 10th email I've gotten from somebody saying that somebody reached out to them with blog placement. So we're going to go ahead and just paint a giant canvas with one brush and say, if anybody reaches out to you and wants to help you with your career as an artist or anybody in the entertainment industry, and one of the things that they pitch you is blog placement, just know it's a scam. Why do you say that, Matthew? Well, it's 2026. Who's reading blogs? So what a lot of times is they're just pulling everything, and they don't live in the U.S. They probably are in, Nigeria or Cambodia or something like that. And so they don't know if the U.S. is still in the blogs, and they just a lot of times they got AI writing this stuff, and they just pitch everything. But I digress. So yes, anybody ever pitches you about blog placement, it's a scam. But anyways, I digress. He says they included playlist pitching, blog placement, radio outreach, and social media campaigns. Well, they just covered everything now, didn't they? He says, I'm not rolling in cash or anything, but I've been working a regular job and saving money for my music. So I decided to take a punt on it. Take a punt? All right, because here in the States, if you're punting something, that means you're kicking the can down the road for a later time. I guess in New Zealand, you decided to take a punt on it. If anybody wants to send me a message or leave a comment and tell me, I guess take a punt means take a chance, we're going to go with that. Stupid American here. He says, looking back now, there are a few things that didn't sit right. First of all, the playlist placements they promised were meant to be on high traffic Spotify playlists. A few songs did get added to playlists, but when I actually looked into them, a lot of them seemed pretty questionable. Yep. That's why I always say playlist placement is a scam. Anybody offers it to you, anybody says they can pitch your song to playlist or get you on playlist, it's a scam. It is. He says a lot of them seemed pretty questionable. Some had thousands of followers, but almost no engagement. Yeah, because they buy followers to follow that playlist to dupe you into money, so you take a punt on it. He says a few even disappeared completely after a month or two. Yeah, because Spotify caught it, realized what it was, and booted it. That is, Spotify is getting really good at being able to track these playlist scams, and they're booting it, and you ain't getting your money back. Because I guarantee if you did a PayPal thing and you had to pay them through PayPal, you clicked it as for friends and family, because then you can't dispute the charges when the playlist that they got you added to just disappears overnight. He said, then there's the radio promotion side of things. They said they were pitching my songs to college and independent stations across the states. Every so often, they send me a report saying things like, added to rotation or spins confirmed. But I've never been able to independently verify most of these stations even played the song. I mean, one way you could do it is if they gave you the call letters, here in Nashville, a big station that plays independent artists, local artists, is Lightning 100. You could probably reach out to, if they have the call letters, you could reach out. If they said Lightning 100 in Nashville, you reach out to Lightning 100 in Nashville, hit them up. Hopefully somebody responds. That's one way of going about it. But if you're relying on them and they're not providing you the information, they should be. I mean, I work with radio promoters all the time. And if a radio station in Sacramento adds a song, we find out the call letters and all that. He says a couple of the stations listed don't even seem to have working websites anymore. Oh, dear God. He says another thing that's been odd is the communication. Whenever I ask for specific questions, like which DJs played the tracks or if they can provide airplay logs, the response is usually vague. Right, because, I mean, if they're saying a radio station's playing your song and that radio station doesn't have a website, they're probably not in business anymore. So they can't really provide you with any kind of airplay logs or anything because the radio station doesn't exist. And what they're hoping for is that you don't ask questions. Now, you said this has been going on for 2 years. And I mean, dude, like, when did you get the airplay? When did you ask for the airplay logs and not get them? 2 years ago, and you're still riding with these guys? He says the response is usually vague, something along the lines of, our partners handle that side of things, or radio reporting takes time. Okay, this is for anybody. If you hired a radio promoter and they say, this station in Topeka, Kansas is playing your song, they should be able to get all that information for you. Not, it takes time to get, why would it take time to get the information? You already got confirmation they're playing your song. Why would it take time then to get that information? That's pretty easy. He says, then they also keep suggesting new campaigns. I'm sure they do because they want more money from you. He says, every few months, there's another opportunity, another round of playlist pitching, another radio push, a new industry connections package. Industry connections package. Okay. I remember back in 2014, I was still working for one of the majors, and it was on Twitter. And this artist was like, hey, this guy hit me up on Twitter and said that, like, you'll work with me and X, Y, and Z. And I responded back, I'm like, I don't know who that person is. And I don't know who you are. But I did ask, I was like, how much do they want? And it was like $5,000 up front. And then there was going to be a monthly retainer. And I was like, bro, I don't charge people to work with them. Definitely not indie artists. Like, just run as far as you can. I wonder if I'm included in any of those industry packages these days. Anyways, he said each one costs more money. Yep, that's how it goes. He says, I've probably spent several $1,000s over the last 2 years. My guy, why would you? I'm not going to beat you up, but if you give them an initial money, which you should never do, because you're just going to roll the dice and hope that something happens, and then they don't get you anything, and they're being vague, why would you keep giving them money? Like, this relationship, if you're going to go down this road, this relationship should have lasted no more than 2 months, not 2 years. He says, but when I actually look at the results, it's hard to see what's changed. My Spotify numbers have gone up a bit, but not dramatically. There's been no real industry contact, no booking opportunities, nothing that suggests I'm building a fan base in the U.S. Okay, so the booking opportunities, you hired these guys so that they could promote you in the States. I don't know a lot of promoters. I don't know a lot of venues. They're going to bring an artist, an unknown artist, an up-and-coming artist from Wellington, New Zealand to the States to play for a door split. You're going to lose a lot of money there. You're going to lose a lot of money. You don't even have a fan base here. So why would you get booking gigs like that? See, this is the kind of stuff when these guys approach y'all, you should be asking yourself is like, okay, they want to book me shows in the U.S. Nobody knows who I am. Who's going to want to book me? And who's going to actually, okay, let's say you do get a show. Let's say you get a show in Little Rock, Arkansas. Who's coming out to see you? So if it's a door split, you're going to make $8. You're going to fly over the whole Pacific Ocean to play for $8 in Little Rock. Like, it doesn't, no. He says, it feels like a lot of activity with very little real movement. I don't think there's a lot of activity. I think you're just getting a lot of generic emails that probably just change your name out with the last artist they scammed. He says, I'm starting to worry that I've been paying for smoke and mirrors. I don't even think you've been paying for smoke and mirrors. I think you've been paying for literally nothing. Like, just nothing. He says, at the same time, I'm hesitant to just cut them off because part of me keeps thinking maybe the next campaign is the one that finally works. Okay. Every single time we do these emails and one of you artists is caught up in one of these scams, you're like, okay, here's all the proof that I'm being scammed, that they're lying to me, that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, X, Y, and Z. And then you guys always throw in here, but I don't want to break up with them. I don't want to fire them. I don't want to cut them loose because what if the next thing is the thing? You've been working with a company now for 2 years. 2 years. You said you've given them several thousands of dollars and nothing has happened. And you don't think that they're scamming you. You don't think that your money's more important than this. Really? You can hang out with them for another 2 years and you can give them more thousands of dollars and you'll email me in 2 years from now because you'll be in the exact same spot because these guys have zero game plan. Zero. He says, I suppose that's how these things keep going. He says, maybe the next campaign is one that finally works. I suppose that's how these things keep going. No, you got scammed. You don't want to admit you got scammed. So instead, fingers crossed, toes crossed. Let's keep giving them money, hoping I'm not being scammed. Because if I'm scammed, then everybody I went and told them I'm working with this great promotion company in the U.S. is going to blow me up bigger than, the Rolling Stones as a scam. And now everybody can laugh at me. Cut your losses and move on. Okay? He said, so I wanted to ask you, are these kind of promotion companies actually legit? No, they're not. There's no such thing. I've said this for months. I've gotten the emails. I've gotten the threats. I've gotten the comments that have had to be deleted. There is no such thing as a legit music promotion company. Not one. Not one at all. He says, are they legit or are most of them just taking advantage of independent artists? Most of them, all of them are taking advantage of independent artists. All of them. Because they don't believe in you because of your talent. They believe in you if you want to see any of these companies, how much they genuinely love your career, how much they genuinely think you're amazing, stop paying them. See who's going to roll the dice and take the chance on working with you, knowing that the payout comes after they can get you on radio, after they can get you booked on a tour, after they can get you signed. Because they can get a much better payday doing it that way than this. He said, are playlist pitching and radio promotion services something artists should even be paying for in the first place? Okay. Playlist pitching is a scam. It does not exist. It is the new scam that Nigerians and Cambodians and fraudsters in the U.S. scam artists thinking that that's going to be their big break. They do not have any connections. You cannot call up Spotify like it's a radio station and pitch a song to a playlist. It doesn't work that way. Radio promotion services is legit depending on who the promoter is. But I'm going to be honest with you. You don't tell us what genre of music you do. A lot of times, because iHeart owns majority of all the commercial music stations in the U.S., they're not picking up random independent artists. with no traction, with nothing going viral. Doesn't happen. And a good radio promoter is not going to waste your time. And also, I'm going to be honest with you, most good radio promoters you can't afford to talk to. We're talking $100,000 retainer to start, not a couple of $1,000. So these guys, they're going to get you on some internet radio stations that they probably own, and they did their job. So should artists be paying for this stuff? No. He says, how can someone in my position, especially being on the other side of the world, tell the difference between real promotions and something a bit dodgy? There we go again. Something a bit dodgy. There is no such thing as a real music promotion company. None. Not one that's reaching out to independent artists. I mean, there's groups, there's companies, there's organizations that labels work with and tours work with to help promotion. But one, they're so expensive to work with. Two, they're so busy. They're not reaching out to artists in New Zealand. They're not reaching out to artists in Alabama. Hey, you got 12 followers on Instagram. We really believe in you. Pay us a couple of $1,000s, we'll blow you up. They would never do that because they know you can't afford them. Dodgy. He says, I feel a bit foolish even writing this, but I figured if anyone might have seen this sort of thing before, it'd be you. I have seen this sort of thing before. I've answered this sort of thing already on this channel a few times. There is no such thing as a legit music promotion company going after independent artists. That's it. He says, cheers for taking the time to read it. Bob, I know you're worried about if I blow this whole thing up, then I might miss the next window. This might be my big break. Blah, 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 yada, 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 whatever you want to believe. This is a scam. Here's the thing. They are sending you radio airplay reports that they're working your song to radio with websites that don't work. How many radio stations do you know that don't have an active website? Legit radio stations. A lot of them do. Most of them will. And here's why. Because they pay advertisers to promote on their website. So the website is a revenue income for them. You also mentioned how you have been placed on playlists that the playlists disappear. And there's thousands of followers on these playlists and you're not getting any traction. Wonder why? Because it's all a fraud. But then you're going to sit there and go, well, I don't know if this is real or not. Or I don't want to fire them because I might lose my chance. What chance? You're going to give them more money and go on a fishing expedition trying to find radio stations that don't exist or went out of business or got bought by Clear Channel 10 years ago. You guys gotta be smarter with this stuff, man. I know we're hungry out there to have success. I know we're hungry out there to make a name for ourselves, to prove the naysayers wrong. I get all of that. But what you're forgetting is you also do have to be realistic and honest with yourself and go, who does this make sense to? I'm in Wellington, New Zealand. These guys want to get me shows in the US. Who's going to book me? And then to keep going back to this blog placement that every time you guys get scammed, you always throw up blog placement. Like a bigger scam is not talking about playlist placement. It's talking about we're going to get you on blogs. Who's doing blogs these days? But anyways, if I was you, I'd fire them. I'd save your money. And I'd start putting your nose to the pavement and start working as hard as you can to create a name for yourself, because you've wasted 2 years and thousands of dollars on these guys, and all you've gotten are broken links to apparent radio stations that play your music. And I hate that for you. But thanks for the email. If you got a question on the music industry that you'd like for me to answer, all you got to do is go to MatthewRicks.com, click submit your question, give me as many details as possible, and we will answer it here on the channel. I am Matthew Ricks, and until next time, I will talk to you later.